Every book is crafted to protect the wonder and innocence of childhood, while featuring stunning illustrations by master artists. Every title has earned the prestigious Mom's Choice Award, the gold standard in family-friendly excellence. For a splash of fun, order The Cats Museum or any of our award-winning books at littlefeatherpress.com. That's littlefeatherpress.com.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Hi, Joe McClane here, host of A Catholic Take. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who made a gift of support during our on-air appeal. It really means a lot to us that you're on the team, so God love you. Now, if you didn't get a chance to make a pledge, well, you still have a chance because although we made great progress towards our goal, we still have just a little bit still to go. You can help with that. You can return the envelope that's in your mailbox, or you can donate on our website, thestationofthecross.com. You can even donate on our iCatholic Radio mobile app, or you can call 877-711-8500. That's 877-711-8500. We're brought to you by you, so our impact, albeit global, is only to your credit and the grace of God. So thank you for that. From all of us at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network, may God bless you.
Discover the timeless beauty of our Catholic faith with David Fielding's Our Faith and Light of the World series. These beautifully illustrated books bring the life of Christ and the teachings of the Church to life for children and families alike. Reverent artwork, engaging stories, and thoughtful activities inspire young hearts to understand the faith and grow in love for it. Find these and more at castleofgrace.com, where faith and family meet in every page. That's castleofgrace.com.
The Catholic Current, bringing Christ to the world and the world to Christ.
You are worth my time. You're worth my undivided attention. God is blessing us by putting us together.
It's funny because people talk about quality time, and honestly, I think it's more about quantity time. But if you're actually engaged with them, whatever it is you're doing, you're spending quality and quantity time with them.
The Catholic Current, 5 p.m. Eastern, from the Station of the Cross and on the iCatholic Radio mobile app.
Many atheists assert the only real form of knowledge is scientific knowledge, thus excluding any sort of religious knowledge, whether philosophical or theological. Such a belief is called Scientism, and it's unreasonable for 2 reasons. First, it's self-refuting. Its truth cannot be verified by the scientific method. It's a metaphysical proposition, and as such, is not scientific knowledge. But if science can't verify the truth of scientism, well then, scientism itself cannot be a legitimate form of knowledge, in which case, it's self-refuting. Moreover, scientism undermines science as a rational form of inquiry, because it denies presupposed philosophical assumptions that are necessary to even do science, such as there's an external world outside the minds of scientists. So, to reject God's existence on the grounds that it's not scientific knowledge is simply unreasonable. I'm Carlo Broussard with a ready reason for Catholic Answers, Catholic.com.
At the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network, we proudly bring the truths of the Catholic faith to countless listeners through radio and mobile devices. Hear how our listeners have been impacted.
I've been listening to the Station of the Cross for about 7 years, since I saw it on a bumper sticker one day driving home from work. Then I listen all the time when I'm in the car or at home with my children. I think one of the things that I've liked so much is that although I was raised Catholic, I really started to learn a lot more about my faith when I was in my 30s. So listening to the Station of the Cross has definitely deepened that relationship and has made me more able to talk about why I believe the things that I believe as a Catholic. It's just been a wonderful spiritual gift for myself. So I thank you very much for your gift, and I will continue to listen.
If you've been blessed by listening to the Station of the Cross, please let us know. Call 1-877-888-6279 extension 112 and share your testimonial with us.
This is Joe McClane, and you're listening to the Station of the Cross, proclaiming the fullness of the truth with clarity and charity.
Heard around the world on your Android and Apple mobile devices.
Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on
Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McClane starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. And let's talk about the communist revolution in the Catholic Church. We're going to have a couple of great guests on the program. Michael Hichborn joins us at 30 past the hour. He has a report that launched today, well over 100 pages of all of the receipts about, our infatuation with communists and communist groups over the past, 2 decades or more. The headline in the article I'm linking to, Pope Leo to October meeting of Marxists, revolutionaries. I am here. I am with you. Now, what Pope Francis made horrible and bad, is Pope Leo going to change it? Hichborn joins us at 30 past the hour to talk about the communist revolution at 30 past. And then we're going to have a great conversation with Dr. Janet Smith about study group number 9. Bishop Schneider is calling it the serpent in the garden, this report from study group number 9 of the Synod on Synodality. Cardinal Muller calls it a schismatic force dividing the church, similar to the heresies of the early church. Dr. Janet Smith weighs in because at the end of the day, the guy who wrote the report, he is all about normalizing homosexual same-sex relationships. And get this, he teaches at the St. John Paul II Academy for Life. Let that sink in. How is that even possible? Dr. Janet Smith will join us at 30 past the hour to have that conversation. We will, of course, put links to everything we discuss in the show notes at the top of the hour, where you can also catch the live stream, join the email list, get the podcast, and so much more. And even smash that donate button and be a part of our apostolate to reach the entire world with the good, the true, and the beautiful, with a bold and courageous message. thestationofthecross.com. Let's pray. Let's get after it. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful, O Mother of the Word incarnate. Despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day.
Saint Pancras, pray for us. Pancras was born to a noble family in Phrygia. Orphaned at a young age, he was adopted by his father's brother, Dionysius, who brought him to Rome. There, Pancras and his uncle were converted to Christianity by the Pope himself, according to some accounts. In the persecutions under Diocletian, the 14-year-old Pancras was arrested and ordered to sacrifice to idols. The Romans were impressed with his zealous defiance and offered the boy great rewards if he were to apostatize, but Pancras still refused. He was beaten, tortured, and finally beheaded on the Aurelian Road, by some accounts in the year of our Lord 303. Dionysius died in prison and shares his nephew's feast day, as well as his title of martyr. Saint Pancras is one of the ice saints, whose feasts occur May 11th, 12th, 13th, or 14th, after which it is finally safe to plant seeds. He is hailed as a patron against perjury and false witness, and St. Gregory of Tours attests that false oaths made before the martyr's relics were visibly punished by God. St. Augustine of Canterbury carried relics of St. Pancras on his mission to evangelize England, and he dedicated the first church in that land to the young martyr. Thus, churches all over England bear the name of St. Pancras. For more about the saints and seasons of the Catholic Church, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. St. Pancras, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Zeal reports Trump weighs strikes after rejecting Iran counterdeal. President Donald Trump is weighing the reinstatement of Project Freedom as well as a potential renewal of military strikes after Iran rejected a U.S.-backed proposal that would have opened the Strait of Hormuz and ended hostilities for a 30-day negotiation period. LifeSite News reports Cardinal Muller condemns pro-homosexual synod report. Cardinal Gerhard Muller, former prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith, published a condemnation of the final report of Study Group Number 9 from the Synod on Synodality, calling the proposed blessings for same-sex couples fraudulent and blasphemous. He accused the document of promoting a heretical relativization of natural and sacramental marriage and warned that woke ideology had entered the church as a destructive heresy and a divisive, schismatic force. More on that coming up with Dr. Smith. Just the News reports inflation rate for April increased over 0.5%. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Tuesday that the Consumer Price Index increased 0.6% from March to April, bringing the annualized inflation rate to 3.8%, the highest since May of 2023. And energy prices rose also 3.8% in April. And those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us in the Novus Ordo Missal from John. No, actually, this is the 1962 Missal. John chapter 4, verses 46 through 53. At that time, Jesus came again into Cana of Galilee, where he made the water wine. And there was a certain ruler whose son was sick at Capernaum. He, having heard that Jesus was come from Judea into Galilee, went to him and prayed him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Jesus therefore said to him, Unless you see signs and wonders, you believe not. And the ruler saith to him, Lord, come down before that my son die. And Jesus saith to him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. The man believed the word which Jesus said to him, and went his way. And as he was going down, his servants met him, and they brought word, saying that his son lived. He asked therefore of them the hour wherein he grew better. And they said to him, Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. The father therefore knew that it was at the same hour that Jesus said to him, Thy son liveth. And himself believed, and his whole house. This is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he was come out of Judea into Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. The power of God's word. He speaks and it is. Light comes forth at the very speech. Water from the side of rock at the very speech. Healing. Returning of sight to the blind. The hearing to the dumb. The speech to the mute. And life to the dead at his speech. How much more is the bread and wine transformed into the very body, blood, soul, and divinity at his speech? Let that sink in. Cornelius a Lapide would say, Christ reproved the small faith of the nobleman in order that he might sharpen and augment it, as though he said, Thou and thine hast heard of certain signs and prodigies which I have wrought, still thou believest not that I am the Messiah, unless I do very many more, and that thou myself mayest behold them with thine eyes. St. Chrysostom says that it is not his miracles that we are to attend to, but his doctrine. He shows that signs are especially made gracious to the soul, and in this case he heals the father who was laboring under a disease of the mind, no less than the bodily disease of the son. Indeed, he first cures the unbelief or the imperfection of faith in the father, and then the fever of the son. You know how many times Catholics get, criticized because we would baptize our babies? That baby has to make a decision for themselves to come to Jesus. Did the son make a decision for himself to come to ask for a miracle of Jesus, or was it his father, his parent, that did that on his behalf, which is what we do as Catholics when we bring our babies to Jesus and to his church to ask for baptism on their behalf. It is our job to help lead our children, to give them every opportunity at God's grace and to be raised correctly. Anyway, Cornelius goes on. This one word, saith Rupert, was a true declaration concerning things present and a command of life. For this word of Christ was not only declaratory, but effectual. For it produced that which it declared, namely the life and healing of the sick. So in the Eucharist, these words, this is my body, enunciate in such manner that the body of Christ is there, that they cause it to be there present. Moreover, Christ went to the servant of the centurion. He was not willing to go to the son or of the ruler, because there was in the centurion confirmed faith, but in the ruler faith was imperfect. But again, I want you to ponder the power of God's word. Moses was never allowed into the Holy Land. Why? Because he struck the rock instead of speaking to it. The first time he was commanded to strike the rock, and water came forth for the people. The second time he was commanded to speak but the words. And instead he struck the rock, and therefore he was never allowed in the Holy Land. He would die outside. Because you can only strike that rock once. And that rock was our Savior Jesus Christ, and from his side comes forth the water of everlasting life. And from then on you must only but speak the word, and that is done through the priest who lives and breathes in persona Christi. He is united to Christ in a sacramental way, and he speaks these words of power, and they effect exactly what they say. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go.
iCatholic Mobile is a proud sponsor of the Station of the Cross. Your cellular service should work when you need it. Dependable calls, reliable data, and customer service you can count on. iCatholic Mobile provides nationwide 5G service, unlimited talk and text, and free roaming in Canada and Mexico. And every plan helps sustain the Station of the Cross, keeping faith-filled programming on the air. More info at iCatholicMobile.com.
Hear what our listeners are saying about the regularly updated iCatholic Radio mobile app.
iCatholic Radio is the most truthful and important site that any of us could ever listen to today. We get the truth. We get good people telling us what is going on in the world. Thank you so much. It's a gift from God.
Download the free iCatholic Radio mobile app today on your Android or Apple mobile device.
A prayer to the Sacred Heart that St. Gertrude the Great wrote. I salute thee, O Sacred Heart of Jesus, living and vivifying source of eternal life, infinite treasure of the divinity, ardent furnace of divine love. Thou art the place of my repose and my refuge. Enkindle in my heart the fire of that ardent love with which thine own is inflamed. Pour into my heart the great graces of which thine is the source, and grant that my heart may be so closely united to thine, that thy will may be mine, and that my will may be eternally conformed to thine, since I desire that henceforth thy holy will may be the rule of all my desires and all my actions. Amen.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. We're talking about the communist revolution in the church, an attempt to infiltrate Christ's church. Study group number 9 from the Synod on Synodality. Bishop Schneider called it the serpent in the garden. Cardinal Muller called it a destructive heresy and a divisive schismatic force comparable to the ancient heresies of Manichaeanism and Pelagianism and so much more. I got to tell you, we've talked about it last week, but joining us right now is Dr. Janet Smith, former professor and College US. Dr. Smith, good to have you back on the team. One of my first questions to you, from your perspective of spending a career in teaching seminary and higher education, is the guy who wrote this study group number 9 report, Father Maurizio Chiotti. This guy teaches at the Pontifical Academy for St. John Paul II. And he absolutely does not adhere to what the church teaches on homosexuality. He wants to see homosexual acts normalized. How is that? How does a guy like that get to write a report on behalf of anyone in the church?
Well, the only reason that is a question is because you're assuming that there is faithful leadership that would be opposed to someone who was a dissenter writing a major document in the church. The conclusion that we can come to is that because there is a dissenting document, that those higher up must approve of that. Quixote's been around for a long time. Everybody knows who he is. He approves of contraception. He approves of homosexual acts. It's interesting. Somewhere back in 2015 or so, he published a book of this new paradigm shift that is meant to value experience over universal principles. And I called a major Catholic publisher and I said, we really need to respond to this book. And he called a major Catholic influencer and says, is she right? And he said, no, this is just a passing fancy. I said, no, this is the new ground upon which church teaching is going to be challenged. The dissenters keep shifting the ground. They keep shifting the ground for why you would reject church teaching. The new thing is this new paradigm is so-called lived experience, which it never bothers to define. But it basically says, since there are so many homosexuals that seem so happy in their lives, homosexuality must be okay. You want to say, well, so are fornicators, so are thieves.
Do we apply that across? Do we apply that same standard across everything? Because I feel, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel incredibly happy when I've eaten a 1 pound bag of chocolate covered peanut M&Ms. Honestly, I'm probably at my happiest ever. So maybe a 2 pound bag would be better. So do we apply the standard everywhere?
That's the shocking thing, that there are several shocking things, and that is one of them. It's not at all honest in applying that principle everywhere. It's just, it's insane. And then the second thing is, this is supposedly synodality at its best. We are listening to people. We are listening. Isn't that just wonderful? We don't teach anymore. We only listen. But we only listen to highly selected people. We don't listen to everybody. We certainly don't listen to people with same-sex attraction who are living in accord with the church's teaching, who have found some peace and rest and great intimacy with the Lord in staying close to the sacraments and no longer giving in to their homosexual temptations. Those persons are not in the least bit of interest, apparently, for this synodal listening sessions. So I just, you just sigh and you say, it's just, is it ever going to stop? Of course, the Holy Spirit's in charge. We are not. God is allowing this for our purification. I believe all those things. I'm saying them with a note of something, despair in my voice, I guess, but I don't really mean that. But it does, for those of us who've been around a while and, seen this over and over again. These people are so slimy, I hate to say. They just won't face the hard questions. They just take over. And there's no honest intellectual confrontation, which the problem that we just proposed, that if you apply this principle across the board, we come up with ludicrous conclusions. Not to say that the ludicrous conclusion that people with same-sex attraction can marry shouldn't be sufficient. I mean, I've been teaching moral theology for years, and 30 years ago when I would say something about it, want to illustrate a ridiculous principle, I'd say something like, well, that's like saying 2 homosexual men could marry. And everybody would say, well, that's absurd.
Good old days.
No one that. And then you might say, it's like someone saying she's more a female, but she's really a male. They go, well, that's absurd. But now those have become commonplaces. So it's a tough world. When things become more and more absurd, to some extent, the truth becomes clearer.
You brought something up a minute ago that I think most of us probably forget about when we have this conversation about these scandals or issues within the church, and that is the actual people where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, who have a same-sex attraction, but are trying to live a chaste life, trying to live what Holy Mother Church has called all of us to, not just some of us, but all of us are called to chastity, to a chaste life within our state in life. And so you got these people who are same-sex attracted, but they're, dare I say, manfully resisting the temptation to walk that fine line and stay chaste. This report, it's almost like having people on a bridge who want to commit suicide and jump off, and there's this guy, who walks behind them and says, "Go ahead, do it," versus "No, come back." Like, it feels a little bit like that. This report feels like it's pushing people off the cliff. Do people who have same-sex attraction, would they interpret it that way? How would they be seeing this report?
Again, there are those who don't want to make the effort to be chaste, and they welcome this with cheers. Father James Martin, this is a huge, beautiful leap forward for the church. And there are those who have tried and find it difficult, which is virtually everyone. And they then say, well, maybe I don't need to try anymore. The Holy Father, he didn't sign this, of course. He will, I don't know what he'll do with it, but he's permitting it to be out there. They're saying, why should I try? Why should I try? I don't have to. This affirms my experience. And those who are living chaste lives are furious. They know it's right. They know it's good. They know that what they're doing with all their willpower is a graced life. And it's not being recognized. There's no mention of them. There's no acknowledgement. In fact, there's a criticism of Courage, which is an organization which helps people with same-sex attraction achieve chastity. They are maligned in Plan 9. It's saying that they encourage reparative therapy and that this is destructive. People knew that falsehood has been refuted for a very long time. Now, Courage doesn't. It doesn't advance therapeutic therapy, which means you're trying actually to reverse, if you can, get rid of your same-sex attraction and live a heterosexual life. It doesn't happen to too many, but it does happen. And there is therapy, and it usually isn't trying to reverse the homosexuality. It's trying to deal with underlying issues, like you say, body issues. You don't think you're attractive, or anger issues, or resentment issues to your father. All sorts of narcissism. It deals with those things, and as those things mitigate or reduce, one's homosexual attractions also mitigate and reduce. But Courage doesn't do that. Courage says, God came to help you carry your cross. This is your cross. You can certainly want therapy, you go for it. But you have a cross, we're going to help you carry it. And the leaders of Courage have issued a very good report. Brian Gannon, who is the international, I think, director of Courage, issued a beautiful report, just saying, why doesn't our experience matter? Why doesn't our calling people to chastity matter? Why are we maligned there? We're an approved organization by the church. We're approved. And instead it's, I keep using the word malign, but that's what it is. Right. It's heartbreaking, honestly, that you've had people working for decades in this very difficult vineyard, doing wonderful things, and a couple of the priests I know that are part of Courage, and the people I know in Courage, they love the priests. The priests love their apostolate. They love it. They love it administering to these men. These are people who have, in a sense, obvious crosses, and obviously heavy crosses. These are very heavy crosses. It isn't really the usual struggle with chastity. It's much harder because there's a brokenness there. It's not just the brokenness of original sin. It's the brokenness of something that happened to a person, generally very young in their life, that caused them to have these same-sex attractions. And they didn't choose them. They don't want them. And they're not hard. They're not easy to live with, and very difficult to get rid of. That's hard. Okay. A man with heart. Sorry.
So the report itself doesn't have any binding authority to it. It's just a report. It's their private opinion, I suppose we could characterize it that way. However, it's just hanging out there. If Pope Leo doesn't do anything about it, doesn't say anything, or it just hangs out there, it feels like that empowers the people like the Father Jimmy Martins of the world, the Father Chiotis of the world. They're like, oh, they didn't say no to it, so we can do. They kind of take that ball and run. Does the Pope need to condemn this document in some way, shape, or form?
Oh, absolutely. It should. I mean, it never should have been gone out. But anybody that wants to publish that should be frightened that the Holy Father's going to jump down their throat if it's made public. It's the sort of thing you say, don't you dare. Right. Don't you dare say that. That's just like you don't want to say to teenagers, okay, it's okay to fornicate. It's okay. Well, we're going to publish a document. I mean, they have sexual needs. Sexual needs come very early on in life. Why do we try to make teenagers remain chaste? Oh my gosh! So let's just say, okay, let's let them go at it. I would hope that no one would dare publish that, knowing that the Holy Father would hopefully we jump down their throat. And that's what should be here. No one should dare publish that, thinking that it'll last 10 seconds and we'll get slapped down and that will just be as bad as it could be. Instead, it floats out there and we're told that sometime it will get to his desk and sometime he'll look at it and sometime he'll comment on it. That is not a father. If someone is feeding your children poison, you don't wait to maybe say something later about it. You do something.
It's been a week. There's no chance he doesn't know about it.
There's no chance he didn't know beforehand, in my view. But yeah, right. If he didn't then, he does now. And he's had beautiful people. I don't know if he thinks some beautiful people, but Mueller and Schneider and this Father Gannon and others, Strickland. To my mind, these are the finest leaders in the church. Right? These are the ones that I trust. If I have any big question about something, I want to know what Schneider says about it.
Amen.
He's going to.
Well said. Dr. Janet Smith, we're out of time. I'm really grateful for you. Praise be to God. Thanks for being on with us. If you've never, ever heard Dr. Janet Smith's Contraception, Why Not? My wife and I used to buy them by the box full, and we would hand them out. They're so good. So good. It's a classic now in the Catholic Church. It's part of classical, our classic library. So check out it on YouTube. Hey, we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. Let's talk about that communist revolution continuing to infiltrate Holy Mother Church. Lepanto Institute has a banger of a report. It's coming up in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
So it is definitely very appropriate to get angry, to feel frustrated, especially when we see people, especially pastors in certain offices, who lead others to sin. But we always have to remember that we need to appropriately express this anger as disciples of Christ. Caritas in veritate. It's a fundamental principle. Charity in truth. And the basic point I want to make is this. Bad shepherds do not justify being bad sheep. You see, in the face of bad shepherds, many Catholics don't necessarily lose their faith, nor their hope, but in some form or shape, they diminish in supernatural charity.
That's Sermons for Everyday Living, weekdays from 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern on the Station of the Cross.
The Station of the Cross began broadcasting in Buffalo, New York in 1999. Since then, our listening areas have multiplied and expanded into several states. While our mission is to grow the Catholic faith through radio and other media outlets, our apostolate is supportive of but independent from your local diocese. Through your generosity, we are able to inspire countless listeners with the gospel and help lead them to a parish to be spiritually nourished by the sacraments.
At
At the Station of the Cross, we understand that life circumstances can affect your giving options, whether by moving or by switching banks and credit card numbers. Please let us know if recent changes have been made to your payment information so that we can better serve you as you continue to bless us with your financial support. Update your information today at thestationofthecross.com or by calling 1-877-888-6279, extension 104.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. The Lepanto Institute has come out with yet another banger of a report. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, but you can find it, lepantoin.org. Pope Leo to October meeting of Marxist revolutionaries. Quote, I am here. I am with you. Michael Hichborn joins us to weigh in on all of this and give us the lowdown. Michael, good afternoon. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on, Joe.
I can still remember the old hammer and sickle crucifix of Pope Francis. And it was so cringy. I think we were still kind of in the Pope splainer mode in those days. But, when I went through your report, one of the first things in my mind that came up about this world meeting of populist movements and these Marxist communist groups that the Vatican has somehow embraced. It feels like there's a heavy Latin American connection there. Did you see it that way in your reportage? Is it because of liberation theology? Is it because of the communist efforts that were just like an infection spreading all across Latin America? Or is this something bigger than that? Or just let me know what you're thinking about that.
No, you're absolutely right. I definitely saw a very heavy South American influence. There were some groups from Africa that were there, a couple of different African countries, South Africa, I think Nigeria was represented. But primarily they were all from South America. We had one from the United States called Pico, California, which is a formerly CCHD fund. Yeah, well, yeah. But they're all in the model of community organizing. But the thing is, the South American Marxists that I was profiling, they are actually communist revolutionists with ties, some of them with ties to guerrilla combatants. They praise Karl Marx. They praise Fidel Castro. They some of them praise Vladimir Lenin. They sing the adulations of the 1917 communist revolution. I mean, these are not like garden variety Marxists who are just kind of, hey man, let's go read some Marx and smoke a blunt. No, these are real AK-47 toting, hammer and sickle flag waving communists. And they met in the Vatican. It's not the first time. This is the fifth time it's happened.
Oh, it's the fifth time. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay. One of the other things about this report that stood out to me right away was how fast Pope Francis began to fan this flame when he became the Pope, when he sat on the chair of St. Peter. Like he wasted no time to bring communist friends apparently along for the ride, did he?
Yeah, in fact, Don Matteo Ferrari, who is the coordinator for the World Meeting of Popular Movements, said in a press conference leading up to the fifth meeting that prior to becoming Pope, Jorge Bergoglio held certain meetings in Buenos Aires when he was in Argentina, and then he brought that process with him to the Vatican when he became Pope, and then within the first year, that's when he launched the first World Meeting of Popular Movements from the Vatican.
Wow. So, all right, give me the breakdown real quick. Elevator pitch. We've talked about the World Meeting of Popular Movements already. Like who are these groups? You've already mentioned a few of them from around the world, but where are they meeting in Rome? Why is the location they're meeting significant? Why are Catholic bishops and cardinals and dicasteries? Why is any of this involved?
The question why is the big question of the day, but the question who and what is very easy. the World Meeting of Popular Movements, as I said, this is the fifth one that's gone on since 2014. It brings together, and they are communist groups. You've got MST, Movimento dos Trabalhadores Sem Terra, from Brazil. You've got La Via Campesina. You've got an organ. I can't pronounce most of these because I just don't speak the language. Mediterranean Saving Humans. Now, this one's interesting. Mediterranean Saving Humans was started by a guy named Luca Casarini. His whole thing is, his organization is supposed to be out there rescuing refugees that are trying to get into Europe illegally. Their boats capsize in the Mediterranean or whatever. Well, anyway, Luca Casarini is a communist. He's an active communist. And in fact, he had a pretty solid relationship with Pope Francis going back to 2018. In 2020, Pope Francis sent him a letter saying, Luca, dear brother, I am with you, kind of thing. And in 2023, Pope Francis appointed him to be a part of the synodal process. He was a non-voting guest at the Synod on Synodality. And let's see, it was just recently, and I can't remember what date, but just recently, Luca Casarini posted a picture of Father Robert Prevost from 1983. And this picture was purportedly of Father Prevost participating in a communist-sponsored protest. Luca Casarini, for some reason, had that picture. And he posted it online. LifeSite News reported about it. Yeah, for some reason. But what else is interesting is that...
Before you move on to that point, does that surprise you in any way? I guess, because I don't know if I talked to you about this, or maybe it was somebody else, maybe it was Dr. Stein, but when the Pachamama 1995 thing came out with Father Robert Prevost, my first reaction was, I'm not surprised. I mean, the guy is a product of the 80s seminary and formation, spends most of his time in South America in the heart of liberation theology. I'm honestly, and from Chicago, I'm honestly not surprised. If he does something that is like fundamentally good and Catholic and traditional and Orthodox, that surprises me. But none of this does. Does it surprise you that he went to a communist march or whatever it was?
I take everybody, I without knowing anybody's background, I guess I just kind of take them as who they present themselves to be. And then I get surprised. I get surprised by people who then reveal themselves to have a deep, dark past. I just don't assume that anybody's involved in this kind of stuff, but
they should know better, no matter what, right?
Yeah. I knew he was a lefty. That much was pretty obvious, but I didn't assume that he was a communist.
That wasn't on the bingo card.
No. And look, it's possible, maybe, perhaps, that he didn't know who these groups were when he said things like, I am here, I am with you, when he called them social poets, when he called them champions for humanity and justice. Maybe he didn't know that they were actual hammer and sickle flag waving communists. But the fact of the matter is, he knows now. And with that knowledge, there comes a grave responsibility, especially since the condemnations of communism and socialism are still on the books to the point of excommunication. So I don't know what he knew beforehand, but I can tell you we are sending this report to the papal nuncio to make sure that he knows now.
He knows now. I can imagine that there's somebody listening right now that says, hold on, there's another option here. He knows they're communists, but when and where we can meet them on an issue that's relatable to both of us, social justice, the plight of migrants, I don't know, you name the issue, then he's just looking for solidarity and common ground to meet them where they're at. He's not endorsing all of their communist crazy ideology. He's just trying to meet them. What would you say to that?
I would say, then why was this the first of the world meetings that had mandated delegates from local churches participating also accompanying these organizations so that they could have greater collaboration when they return home.
Yeah.
And why was this called part of the synodal way of walking with these individuals? And why was this coordinated with, quite honestly, a meeting with the Jubilee, the Synod Jubilee participants for, I don't even know what it was. It was a delegation of coordinators for the Synod on Synodality. They were supposed to be participating in some Jubilee event while they were there. So, you know, if this was all just kind of, well, we want to meet them where they're at and try and discourage their communism and encourage their work for the poor, that's not what happened. That's simply not what happened. If you look at the venue itself, Spin Time Labs, where the venue took place, is a squatter-occupied building. It's run by communists. They host the Communist Party of Italy in their building to hold their meetings. They actively go out and they march for abortion. They go out and they do fundraisers for transgender events for kids. This is not a good group. Yeah. They also hosted a live performance, several of these performances, of a one-woman act show called La Merda. And this program, this show, features this woman sitting on stage holding a microphone, and she is completely nude the entire time. From start to finish, she's wearing zero clothing. Yes. And I have a photograph of the coordinator for the World Meeting of Popular Movements, Father Don Matteo Ferrari, rather, in the lobby for a sold-out performance, waiting to get in.
Really? Couldn't wait, I'm sure. Couldn't wait. You say the venue for the 2025 meeting was Spend Time Labs. You just mentioned that in Rome, a squatter-occupied building that Pope Francis once blocked from eviction. Italy tried to kick them out. Pope Francis intervenes, keeps them right where they're at. Let that sink in. Your report documents that it's openly Marxist, trans-feminist space that has hosted communist events, the ones that you just like described, pro-abortion marches and these vulgar nude performances. How is it possible that cardinals of the Catholic Church go to this place? Like, it's the optics, like they have zero optics. Just the other day, Rabbi Shmuley, whatever that guy's name is, the guy who sells sex toys and makes pornography, this Jewish rabbi guy, was hanging out with Cardinal Parolin. It's like, you know, it's like they have zero concept of PR and the effects of the optics of these things. Do you think there would be somebody at the Vatican who'd be like, Your Holiness, they're communists. You probably don't want to go to that building and hang out there. But nonetheless, like, are we just naive to these things? Is this intentional? How should we interpret that?
I think part of it is intentional. I think that the scandal is the point. When you start looking at the individuals who are running the show, I mean, there's no way that the cardinals that were involved, Cardinal Czerny, who is the head of the dicastery for integral human development there in the Vatican, there's no way that Cardinal Baldassare Reina, who was photographed inside Spin Time Labs with Antifa stickers all over the walls, with communist stickers on the walls, with a cartoon image that had enhanced breasts painted on the wall. Yes. There's no way that those individuals had no idea what these groups were all about. They knew exactly who these groups were. They knew exactly what they were getting involved in. There's no way that Don Matteo Ferrari, who is also not just the coordinator for the World Meeting of Popular Movements, he's also the chaplain for Mediterranean Saving Humans, which is led by a communist named Luca Casarini. They know who these groups are. They know what they're all about. MST, Movimento dos Trabalhadores Sem Terra, that organization has communist read-alouds of the Communist Manifesto while the Internationale is playing in the background. You know, you can't tell me they didn't know who these groups were. They knew who they were. They brought them in and they said, hey, Pope Leo, why don't you say a few words? And that's kind of where we're at.
Kind of where we're at. Well, hold that thought. We're going to come back from a 2-minute radio break. I want to get back into this. Let's talk more about Pope Leo, because the report, we've already sort of hit on it, but the report stops short of accusing Pope Leo of bad faith. So how far down this rabbit hole is Pope Leo? That's, I guess, my question here, because he seems to be picking up what Pope Francis put down. I think Pope Francis, it's beyond the shadow of a doubt that how much he was down this rabbit hole. But what about Pope Leo? More on that in 2 minutes from now. We'll be right back.
This is a segment about small Catholic innovations that made a huge impact from the OSV Institute for Catholic Innovation. The bread Catholics are known for is the Eucharist. The body of Christ. Rightly so. But I'd wager there's another, less special bread that we should also be recognized for. The pretzel. Back in the year 600 AD, Lenten fasting rules were pretty strict. So some monks got creative. They developed a bread recipe that was just flour, water, and salt.
That's easy.
Legend has it that the monks wanted to make the bread into a shape that reminded them of Lent. A young monk noticed the way his brothers crossed their arms over their chests while praying, and voila, the pretzel was born. The Latin word for pretzel even means little arms.
Aw, how cute.
So, you can thank Catholic innovation for pretzels. Learn more about what OSV Institute is doing to inspire and encourage Catholic innovation at osvinstitute.com.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have, as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
30 seconds on the gifts of the Holy Spirit, brought to you by the Station of the Cross. The gift of wisdom helps us to make the right decision in the present moment of our lives. Choosing to join the corporate world or to live as a missionary may not be a moral issue, but it's important to pray for the gift of wisdom to discern God's will for our lives.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. We're talking about the communist infiltration of the Catholic Church. There's a brand new article out, a report. It's going to be linked up, lepantoin.org. We'll link to it in the show notes as well. Pope Leo to October meeting of Marxist revolutionaries. I am here. I am with you. In the article is linked the PDF. There's also a summary YouTube video from Michael Hichborn, but the PDF is very long, it's extensive, and it has all of the receipts. So I encourage you to download that, check that out, share that with your friends, your family, and your pastor. That'd be a great way to do it. Michael Hichborn, welcome back to the show. Thanks again for being on. The report stops short of accusing Pope Leo of bad faith, because we can't truly know, I imagine. We can't truly know what's in his heart or on his mind. We can only interpret the outwardness of it all. But you say, you quote him, I am here, I am with you. I am called them social poets, champions of humanity and poets of solidarity. He also said their struggles are legitimate and necessary. You know, given what you've documented about all of this, what are we to make of Pope Leo? How far down the rabbit hole has he gone, in your estimation?
Well, there's a dubia here. And the reason that there's a dubia is because a lot of the language that he used in his speech is very, very similar to the same language that was used by Pope Francis in his speeches. In fact, several times he quotes Pope Francis in his own speech. This also goes back to the encyclical that he wrote, or not encyclical, actually, it was an apostolic exhortation, De Lexite, which was supposed to be about service to the poor or love of the poor or something along those lines. And in 2 paragraphs, he wrote about popular movements. And he even went so far as to say that popular movements have been viewed with suspicion and even persecuted which is kind of an acknowledgement of the fact that people recognize these communist groups for what they are. But again, one of the things that has been talked about with regard to Dilexi Te is that particular apostolic exhortation was primarily written by Pope Francis, but he died before he can complete it. And so Pope Leo finished it up. It's hard to tell where Pope Francis's thought ends and Pope Leo's begins. That is something that I can't tell. And that's why we're giving that caveat and why we're saying, look, we don't know exactly what he knew or how involved he was in writing the speech, in writing his statements, in writing Dilexi Te. We actually don't know.
Right.
He was only a pope for 5 months by the time the Fifth World Meeting of Popular Movements was held. So there is leeway to be had, and we're giving him the opportunity to actually do something about this, to shut it down, because there's no way you can illicitly have these meetings of communists taking place in the Vatican, and it's dangerous, absolutely dangerous to souls to have these communists meeting up with local delegates who have a mandate to bring them back and to interact with them once they go back to their own countries. That's extremely dangerous to the faith. It's extremely dangerous to the faithful, and it is horribly injurious to society itself.
If I'm trying to be as charitable as I possibly can to His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, and I should be, obviously I should be, but my guess is he's going to do things quietly, slowly, behind closed doors, similar to how he's been trying to deal with the German bishops, for instance, and their push for same-sex unions and female ordinations and lay folk deciding who gets ordained and all this other crazy stuff that's going on in Germany that's destroyed the church there. Instead of being a disciplinarian father and just dealing with it and hammering it out, it's slow, it's quiet, it's methodical, it sort of lingers and leaves us in who knows what land. I feel like it's going to be the same in this. Perhaps, if to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's not on board philosophically with communists, but he's trying to beckon them back to the church. But I guess my question on all this is, there still is a danger, even if that's true, and he means and intends the best. There's still a grave danger in this, because we don't, as lay folk, know what's up and what's down when it comes to this. It looks like, all of a sudden communism is okay, but it's still against church teaching to be a communist, isn't it?
Yes, it is. In fact, at the end of the report, we put in multiple statements from multiple different popes fully condemning communism and socialism. In fact, Pope Leo XIV's namesake, Pope Leo XIII, in Rerum Novarum, he said this: the socialists, working on the poor man's envy of the rich, are striving to do away with private property. Hence, it is clear that the main tenet of socialism, community of goods, must be utterly rejected, since it only injures those whom it would seem to benefit, is directly contrary to the natural rights of mankind, and would introduce confusion and disorder into the commonweal. He also said, we have summoned communism and socialism again to judgment and have found all their forms, even the most modified, to wander far from the precepts of the gospel. So you have these condemnations of socialism and communism, and Pope Pius XII in 1949 stated this was a dubium that was submitted to the Holy Office in 1949. The dubium was answered, and then Pope Pius XII had it published in the Acta Apostolici Sedis, which is the formal acts of the church. And in this dubia, it says very clearly that it is not lawful to enlist or show favor to the Communist Party. It is not lawful to publish, read, or disseminate books, publications, newspapers, periodicals, or leaflets in support of communist doctrine and practice or write in any of their articles. And anyone who does is not to be admitted to the sacraments. Wow. And then even more to the point, those who profess, and in particular, those who defend and spread the materialistic and anti-Christian doctrine of the communists are ipso facto, as apostates from the Catholic faith, excommunicated, reserved only to the Holy See. This is the highest form of condemnation that you can add, because if you're going to say somebody is ipso facto, automatically excommunicated as an apostate, what you're saying is that anybody who is participating or defending communism has apostatized.
Okay. I was just thinking about Our Lady of Fatima and the errors of Russia that would spread. I was talking about this the other day with the $1 billion payout at the New York Archdiocese for clergy sexual abuse cases. $1 billion, only to be rivaled by Los Angeles's $1 billion payout as well. You know, and I talked about this in the sense that, you know, I've got Mosher's book here, a friend of yours, in Paul Kangor's books, you know, on communism and the devil and Karl Marx and Bella Dodd, and the perversity, the thread of sexual perversity that runs rampant through Marxist, Leninist, communist ideology. That is true almost in every single communist government that we can think of. There's a perverse sexual thread to it all. Yet we're seeing that in the church, you know, as an infection that spreads throughout this perverse, disgusting, you know, behavior by these men who want to perpetuate solidarity, fraternity. We see all these words bandied about. It feels like the arrows of Russia have spread. And I'm asking myself, golly gee whiz, how about that consecration to Russia? That really paid off, didn't it?
I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, no matter how many attempts were made, it didn't quite feel like it. Maybe perhaps if they'd have done what they were told instead of tweaking it a little bit, maybe we would have a different outcome. But I don't know. Last words, Michael Hichborn. This is a bombshell of a report. Are we seeing an infiltration of communists at the Vatican?
Seeing it, we are witnessing the fruition of it. This is clear that the communists have taken over. They are in position in key areas of the Vatican. They are pushing a Marxist ideology. They are trying to spread it throughout the world with their synodal way. And the only thing that we have to do is expose it, stop it, and pray to God that Our Lady's foot will crush its heel or crush its
Pray,
head.
fast, do penance and acts of reparation. Our Lady, she's got this. Let's put her to the task. Thank you, Michael Hichborn, lepantoin.org for that report. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow or in the after show for your Catholic Take. That's up next. So what did you think of today's show? Let's discuss that right now in the after show. Your take on the after take. Comment, interact live with me and the team. All you need to do is search for one of our live video feeds on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, LinkedIn, and elsewhere. Simply search for the Station of the Cross, Joe McClane, or A Catholic Take. I'm looking forward to seeing you and interacting with you directly. It all starts right now. It's the after show.
Welcome back to the after show.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Praise be to God. Do you think we are in a communist revolution in the Catholic Church? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. By the way, was that your dog barking the whole time, Michael?
Oh, yes.
What kind of dog you got?
German Shepherd.
A German Shepherd. I got mauled by a dog earlier today, actually.
What?
I was going for a walk. I was after lunch. I was taking my speed walk down the nature trail, and some dude with some dog on a leash with some sort of like pit bull like dog coming down the trail. He turns around and heads away, going in the same direction, and I'm like, dude, and I'm huffing it, trying to get a exercise like walk in, and I'm like, I'm gonna catch up to this guy. Dang it. You know, I was doing really well, but then I was getting closer. So the guy pulled over. Like he got off the trail, was trying to wait for me to pass. I get up there, the dog breaks the leash and attacks me. Bites me 3 times before the dude got on him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Where'd
fun.
You get bitten?
It was I got mostly on my legs, the back of my legs. Once on my right leg, twice on my left leg. I put my hand down and that got caught in the mouth at one point too. So,
were you hurt?
Only in my pride. Only in my pride.
Well,
now
that's good.
The The dog could have hurt me a lot worse. It felt like it was more like warning bites than it was like actual, like gonna hurt you bites kind of a thing. Like I felt his teeth, obviously. I don't know if it could have been a she, but the teeth, I felt the teeth of the dog. It got me pretty good in one of them. So I'm having to look at that. But yeah, so your dog barking triggered me though, like the whole segment. I'm just like sweating bullets.
Oh, no.
Cujo's out to get me. No, I'm teasing. I didn't really get triggered. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah,
it was good.
She looks in the because we have glass doors, so she looks in the glass door, sees a reflection, starts barking at it.
Dogs are the best. Dogs are the best. They're the best dogs. That's so fun. Like there's another dog. Dang it. Look, and it's big. Bark at it. That's hilarious.
Yep.
That's so fun. Hey Jane, good afternoon to you.
Echo, so it's barking at me.
Yeah. Did I ask? Do I have rape? No, I'm not doing rabies shots. So that's the wrong guy. I'm not that guy. Sorry. I'm not gonna. Nope. I'm not gonna go get rabies shots. Thank you, but no. Let's just pray I don't get sick. How about that? That'd be better. Nicholas Williams. What does Michael think of honey mustard? Is it good for the Cleveland Browns? Is it good, or is it the Cleveland Browns of condiments? Says there's an ongoing debate here in the after show. There's a certain someone who is trying to push blue cheese dipping sauce upon the world, and I've had to correct him a number of times. Clearly, God's preferred dipping sauce is honey mustard. So that's what's being you're asked to weigh into a very controversial subject. That's all.
So I love honey mustard.
From your lips to God's ears. You hear that, James? Did you hear that, James?
You left some context out, though. Like, Joe, what were you talking about using honey mustard for?
To heal the dog bite on my leg.
Not exactly that. On buffalo wings.
Which is appropriate.
No, it's not.
You see the kind of snobbery I have to deal with, Michael, here? This is the substantive conversations we have in the after show.
There's kind of a contradiction of flavors by putting Buffalo Wild Wings in honey mustard.
Play the music again, Joe.
The button's broke. Sorry, I can't do that.
I will say that I am no fan of blue cheese dipping sauce, though.
Oh, wow. I am 2 for 2 on this one, James. You're losing hard right now, buddy. Sorry. Jane, no, I didn't get the man's name. In fact, the guy he apologized to me. He showed me the broken leash. He felt bad. And I'm standing there and I took a big old stick, actually, a huge like pole as my walking stick. And I was like, I should beat your dog to death. I didn't say that, but I really wanted to. I just gave him the look and I walked off. That's all I did. So no, I don't have his name and I don't intend to do anything more about it. It just is what it is, but I'm fine. I'll be fine. Janice says honey mustard for the win. Okay. I added for the win part. Christina OFS, good afternoon. Praise be to God. You guys, listen, we should probably speak of more appropriate, important issues other than honey mustard and blue cheese. You guys need to read the report. It is very significant. I downloaded the PDF. I went through it. It is very disturbing. And it's kind of like I paired it nicely, in my opinion, with the study group 9 stuff with Dr. Janet Smith, because I find them related. Sexual depravity goes hand in glove with communism. And it's like, it's a telltale sign, right? If your back aches, if you're starting to feel achy, you got the snivels and you feel a headache, you might have a flu. If you're a sexual deviant and you want universal basic income, you might be a communist. You see where I'm going with that? Like, these things go hand in glove.
I think we need to write a book. You might be a communist if...
That's right. You might be a communist if your name is Coco Palmero and you run drug-fueled gay orgies out of Vatican apartments. Yeah. Was Coco Palmero in your report? I don't think he was.
No, he didn't. He didn't make.
He didn't
an
make the
appearance,
report.
But
That's too bad.
I'll tell you what did. And this is something that I added to it just yesterday, very quickly before I published, because, when I go through and I edit these things, I'm always looking, okay, did I get everything? Is there anything else I can add? Is there something else here? And there's this group called Cenarab, CENARAB. It's based out of Brazil. And, they typical stuff. They're part of some sort of socialist party. They actually participate in socialist party meetings. They go out and they've signed multiple letters saying that they're calling for the decriminalization of abortion, blah, blah, blah. Typical stuff that I find with this kind of thing. But what I didn't realize, and what I did realize when I was going back over their information, because I was like, okay, I want to take one more look at their social media feed. And I went to their social media page. I went through their pictures. And I saw these paintings that were kind of weird. I was like, what is this? And of course, it's all in Portuguese, and I don't speak Portuguese, but thankfully, my little black magic mirror does speak Portuguese. So I have a Google Translate app, which allows me to show, look at the sign or look at whatever you're reading, and it'll translate it for you. And it does it in real time. So I showed it what I was seeing on the screen, and it said something about how they are asking Ogum to bless them on this Thursday. I was like, what the heck is Ogum?
Not good.
So it's actually worse than not good. I did some digging. I found that it's part of some cult religious belief called, what's it called? Candomblé, Candomble. Candomblé, and this is what I got from Wikipedia. It's a syncretic religion merging elements of Roman Catholicism with pagan spirits, and includes rituals calling upon demonic spirits to possess a member to interact with those present. So that they can have, divination and all that kind of stuff with the demon possessing the individual who's with them.
God have mercy.
And the woman who is representing Cenarab, and in the report, this is on page 125, in the report, you see her there wearing her traditional Candomblé garb, shaking hands with Pope Leo. And then also from the 2015 World Meeting of Popular Movements, standing right next to Evo Morales and shaking hands with Pope Francis. She has been a 35-year practitioner of Candomblé. She's effectively a priestess within this movement. And I very quickly put it in that part of the report. So then I started working with one of my associates and I said, hey, I don't have time to look into this. Can you dive into this and see if there are any other organizations that are involved? And very quickly, we found that Cenarab and MST had been putting on Candomblé ritual ceremonies. And then we started seeing that there is a pattern of this kind of pagan witchcraft going on within these groups. And I'm suspecting at this point, but I can't prove it yet. But where I'm going with this is I wonder if this has direct ties to the Pachamama stuff.
Yeah, I wonder too. I wonder as well. If only I would get a call from the Vatican to say, hey, the Pope would like your advice on how to handle a few of these issues that are coming up in the news. I would say, Your Holiness, I get it. When we're young, we do dumb things. I certainly did a lot of dumb things, probably more than most when I was in my 20s, perhaps my 30s or whatever. But you know what? You're an older man now, so now's your time to own it and own it big. Go public, admit it, go to confession if you haven't been, beg God for mercy and tell the whole world. Like, do that now. And and we'll probably not only survive this, but you'll probably inspire a lot of guys to admit their own faults, beg God for mercy, go to confession, etc. But pretend like nothing ever happened. Say absolutely nothing and just let us speculate. God help you, honestly. Like, what in the, I don't know how to interpret the silence other than endorsement.
Wasn't it Our Lady of Quito, Good Success in Quito, Ecuador, 400 years ago, who said that the one who should speak would remain silent?
Ooh. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't.
That hits hard.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, yes. I mean, for crying out loud, we live in prophetic times. That's as exciting as it is terrifying, because if we're in that time as indicated, then the subsequent consequences for that time are also on the horizon. Fire falling from the sky, 2/3 of humanity getting wiped out. I mean, as much as I like to complain about how much it's costing me to travel back and forth to Mass, and how much it's costing me to travel to my daughter's ballet performances and practices, and all the different things that we do just in a general household, maybe in a few years it just won't matter.
Isn't it? We've lived through some pretty big events here in the area of Houston. We were talking, my wife and I were talking about one of them earlier, Hurricane Harvey, the 2017, I think. It was the weekend of the total eclipse. We had a massive hurricane come through that literally flooded the city, and my neighborhood flooded, and we had to be rescued by a boat. People from Tennessee came and picked us up in our front yard on a boat. It's amazing up until that point how important everything really is in your life. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to get this done, everything is so super vitally important. And then something like that happens and none of it matters because I had no power, couldn't go to work, didn't have a place to stay, for my family. Like, we had friends that led us to come stay at their place, and they were amazing to us. But my point is, like, it's weird how we prioritize things. We don't keep death in mind, which is why the church in her wisdom reminds us, tempus fugit, we're going to die. And if we lived like that, perhaps these types of infiltrations in the church wouldn't happen on our watch because we were always in a state of preparedness and readiness. But I guess my question to you is, I think we've become complacent, or we have allowed ourselves to be complacent generation after generation. Do you think that's fair?
Sure. I mean, it's easy for us to be distracted by the things of the world and to be distracted by just the general duties of everyday life. I mean, I mentioned driving back and forth to Mass. I mentioned driving back and forth to ballet practices. I mean, we've got soccer practices that we take our 3 youngest children to. But it's easy because you look at that and you say, okay, this is how we keep them exercised and how we maintain their, an interest that they have, and we want to help them and support them and guide them. But at the end of the day, is soccer going to save their souls? Is ballet going to save their souls? Well, no. But am I going to stop because I think something bad might happen? Well, no. What I do is I say, all right, we have to live our lives in this life, not just in some sort of ethereal thought about it. We have to live our lives in the moment and perform our duties, and always with the eye towards salvation and leading and guiding as best as we can, training them in their prayers, training them in theology, training them in the practice of the virtues. And you just hope and you pray and you continue to trust and rely on God for that guidance to lead them to salvation, so that when disaster strikes, and it's going to strike either in the form of, some sort of flood or fire, or it could just come in the form of death, a natural death, which is a disaster in itself. It will come. You can't live in fear, and you certainly can't predicate your life on what might happen. I'll tell you, you mentioned the hurricane. I remember during the big tsunami that hit Japan, I was watching footage And one of the things that struck me was this whole house that got uprooted and started floating off into the ocean, an entire house. And I was looking at that and I went, if whoever owned that house spent their well-earned money and their time and their attention and their work and dedication and did the best they can to prep, coming up with a store of food and coming up with, the necessary weapons and the ammunition to go along with it and having stores of fuel.
Yeah.
All of that got wiped away by a single wave.
And floated down.
Yeah. So I'm not going to try and figure out what I at some point, you just have to trust that God's going to provide what you need when you need it. And that includes for a good death. So I've gotten to the point, look, it's good to have some rations on hand in case something happens, but by and large, I'm not going to build a fortress around my house and expect that I'll be safe when the apocalypse comes, because nobody's going to be safe.
Malachi Martin, back in the 90s in his radio interviews, he was asked that. They were talking a lot about the third secret of Fatima and apocalypse and all this stuff. And I remember the host asking him sort of a question about that. Hey, what about people who are like preppers in the 90s? That wasn't that wasn't a catchphrase back then, but today it is. The preppers, and he's like, there's no hiding. You think you can hide? You think you can go someplace and get away from the spirit of Antichrist? I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was along these lines, about, like you can't hide. The chastisement's coming. It comes for all. The good and the bad. Everyone is going to participate in the chastisement. And I was talking to one of my kids earlier today who's frustrated with a lot of things that go on in the world. And I'm like, you can't control what happens in this world. Israel bombing a school run by nuns in Lebanon. I would love to do something about that. I really, really, really would. Put me in charge of the War Department. I've got some ideas about what we could do to stop the Greater Israel Project. But nonetheless, I don't get to be in charge. I don't get to, my vote doesn't change what the CIA does, this week, next week, or the week after, or the election next time. So I can only do what I can. And what can I do? I can live in a state of grace, pursue virtue, be obedient to my state and life. And that's it. That's all I can do. Yep. If I do those, nothing else matters. Literally, nothing else matters. I think we get caught up in control, don't we?
Of course we do. I mean, what's the nature of anger? Anger comes from a thwarted will. That's what it is. You can have righteous anger if your will is thwarted for a bad reason and you had something good that you were trying to accomplish. Righteous anger says, okay, I'm going to get angry because you did something to, assault my family, or you did something to cause harm to the good of my household. That would be righteous anger. But at the end of the day, it's still anger from a thwarted will. That's what it is. And I think that we get angry about just about everything now, mostly because we have a deep-seated pride in everything that we have and everything that we think and everything that we do. So you have to kind of evaluate everything and say, okay, so which are the things that are essential, which are the things that are important, and which are the things that, okay, I like, and it's upsetting when I lose them, but I have to be okay with losing them.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
It is. It's true. Hey, Chesterton's just good afternoon. He says, well said, Michael. Exciting and scary times, to be sure. We've been so focused on stopping communism as a societal norm that we didn't see communists rising to the top within the church's hierarchy. Well, we've seen it for a very long time. Malachi Martin wrote the book, The Jesuits, the first half of which is, totally dealing with this issue. Admitting that the Jesuits got corrupted by liberation theology and they were spreading it. And JP2 was just a day late and a dollar short to deal with it because he was very focused, obviously, on trying to save Poland. Now, I argue that he was probably trying to save Poland more than he was trying to save anything else. My opinion, That and it will get you nothing, but that's still my opinion. And George Weigel. You don't have to go too off the crazy train. Just go to George Weigel. He is Mr. Catholic Inc. His book, The End and the Beginning. He talks about all of the KGB spies that were archbishops at the Vatican and the Curia that JP2 knew was on the payroll. So I guess what I'm saying is, I think we did see it coming. We just didn't do anything to stop it. We just didn't do anything to stop it is the issue. And I say I truly mean the Pope, the Vatican, the Curia, the hierarchy. Like, as lay folk, other than talk about it, there's really nothing we can do about that. Pray, fast, do penance, talk about it, but that's kind of the extent of that. So, CNU 10 says, I can do more. I could become president. I don't know, man.
There we go.
President sounds like a good job and all. I mean, they make golden statues of you. They bow down before them. That's nice. I like it. But also, you really are just a executive assistant for Bibi Netanyahu. And I don't think I want to do that. I'm just going to be honest. I'd rather be Holy Roman Emperor. This way, I don't have to work for the Prime Minister of Israel. Do you know what I'm saying? I think president would be a little bit too low down the totem pole. Christy,
you could
go ahead.
You could choose to ignore the precepts of Bibi Netanyahu and
but
get
he's the
yourself
boss.
a nice new haircut that exposes your brain and the interior workings of your skull.
I mean, I'm fairly certain the dog that mauled me earlier today was probably Mossad. Pretty sure I saw some sort of cryptic tattoo on the dog. But anyway, I can't prove that, but awfully convenient that that dog was right where it was when it was. Anyway, Christine says, fear is not charity, but perfect charity drives out all fear. Whoever fears is not perfect in charity. John chapter 4. I ponder this on Sunday. Goes on to say, can I tell you a secret? Shh. I can't stand honey mustard. James, it is really bad that Christine got blocked from the chat today. Like, wow.
It wasn't me that blocked her.
So sad that Christine is no longer joining us ever again. I'm teasing, of course. You're always welcome. In spite of it all. George W. Mr. Novo. What are you? Well, he would write an amazing book if it were on the TLM. George Weigel. He's Mr. Straight Up the Middle, Big Catholic Inc. He's never going to write a book on the TLM. Pray for him. Pray for him. I do like his, he's a good writer. I like his books. Like I said, The End and the Beginning is a fantastic book. I do recommend it. But anyway, Lost Creole, praise be to God. The SSPX is trying to stop it. The SSPX can't stop it. It is not, they certainly don't see it as their mission to stop it. They see their mission is to preserve tradition. And the traditional, not only the tradition of the sacraments, the patrimony of Holy Mother Church and Orthodox teaching. That's their mission. So they do that within their community, but beyond that, they don't. It's not like they're sending out missionaries like Mormons and JWs door to door to convert people. They're not. So they're just preserving, they're not changing or stopping the communist infiltration. Jeff Burrier from sunny San Antonio. Welcome back. Good to see you here. God bless you. Cigar Mode is back. Was it an AI dog bot? It didn't. I'm going to tell you, it didn't. But it bit like it was real. Bear spray. Next time, I guess I'm going to have to bring bear spray with me. Sometimes I side carry. Sometimes I carry a gun down that path. But usually the only thing I see is teenagers and snakes. So this time it kind of caught me off guard. Nicholas says, did I miss the honey mustard? I had to get a haircut and miss part of the show. Please forgive my folly. Well, I'll forgive it this one time, Nicholas. Just this once, though. But if you're getting haircuts over listening to the show, perhaps we need to evaluate our priorities in life. I'm just saying. Hey, Boogie. Boogie Master says the war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. Revelation 12:7. Yea and amen. How did they fight back? With faith, with fidelity. That was their weapon of choice. The fact that they were faithful. Lost Creole says traditional eliminates communism, ergo Zionism. Hand in glove. Alberto, I really like honey mustard. See, the honey mustard thing will not go away. Ever since James has tried to pressure his blue cheese supremacy upon the rest of us, we had to push back with the honey mustard. Truth.
Ask him why it's blue.
Why is it blue?
I know why it's blue.
Moldy.
Mm-hmm.
Because mold is good all of a sudden? Mold is...
You didn't dive when you ate it, did you, Joe? You're still here to tell the tale.
Dude, a dog just bit me 3 times. I'm still here to tell the tale, okay? Listen, when you carry 18 inches of lard on your body, it protects you from everything, okay? It's literally like a shield. All you skinny folk are going to die quick in the Armageddon. Not me. I'm going to, like a camel in the desert, I'm going to survive. MB Slick, welcome back. Praise be to God. Glad you were on with us today. Pray for the SSPX. I'll get it out someday. And the Pope.
Yeah.
That he be the shepherd for one flock and be as merciful as Jesus Christ would be. Yeah, amen to that. You know, I keep going back to the whole optics thing at the Vatican. Like, you telling me nobody's over there going, golly gee whiz, Cardinal Parolin perhaps hanging out with the porn creator, Rabbi Shmuley, probably not a great idea today. Golly gee whiz, Your Holiness, perhaps having David Axelrod come by is probably not a good idea today. You know what I mean? Like, there seems to be a complete lack of understanding of how the optics work over there. Perhaps maybe we shouldn't have Sarah Mullally walking around the Vatican in costume, pretending to be a bishop, blessing, and for crying out loud, for all that is good, true, and the beautiful, don't have any actual Catholic bishop bowing his head at her stupid blessing.
Right.
Like, anyway, I digress. Why wouldn't he meet with the SSPX? I don't know. You know, he meets with everybody, but just not them. That seems bizarre to me. I'm not an SSPX guy. I don't know. I'm not going to go to the chapel. I don't plan to go to the chapel anytime soon, but I see zero downside to him meeting with the SSPX Superior General.
Right.
You can meet with Axelrod, you can meet with Shmuley, you can meet with the SSPX. Period. And you can also compromise with them too. Like, make them a deal. Hey, I tell you what we're going to do. You want bishops? I got bishops. I got bishops lying around doing nothing. You think Parolin does anything all day? That guy does nothing, okay? Listen, we got some bishops. How about Strickland? He needs work. I can give him to you. He can do something really, really good. You know, Cardinal Burke, retired. He's got time on his hands. I'll give him to you. Like, there's options. They could work something out, but they choose not to. That's intentional. I don't know.
Yep. But they'll meet with communists.
But they'll meet with the
Sing their
communists.
praises. They'll sing their praises, and they'll talk about how they are doing essential work and valid work, and that the Vatican, we are with you. I am with you. You know, we can get that with these communists, these socialists who are out there talking about how they want to that they were actually part of guerrilla combat and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can work with that, but no time for orthodoxy.
No time for orthodoxy. Christine says OAN News is reporting that North Korea's updated constitution requires automatic nuclear missile strikes if Kim Jong-un is killed. That's a good time. What happens if he just dies of a heart attack after eating all that blue cheese dipping sauce? Because you know he's mowing it, probably by the gallon per day. Look at that guy. What happens then? Do we get bombed because he has a heart attack because he can't stop eating the blue cheese? Like, that ain't fair. That ain't right. Senior 10 says, Bishop Martin, I'd rather he be doing nothing than the evil he actually is. You want him to do the evil he's doing? Senior 10? I don't think you meant that. I'd rather him not do the evil that he is currently doing. You talking about Bishop Martin in Charlotte? I would love to see him be like a father to his flock rather than like a dictator, like a Kim Jong-un to his flock. Cigar Mode, Strickland should be in charge of the dicastery for clergy. Ooh, I kind of like that.
Hey,
That might be very good.
Yeah.
That might be very good. If we're going to play a little bit of fantasy bishopric here, I would say Schneider as doctor in chief, Strickland in charge, and Strickland in charge of bishops. The problem with Schneider as doctor in chief is I kind of also want him to just be the Pope. So I feel a little conflicted over that. But if Schneider becomes Pope Pius the 13th, which is the clear and obvious choice, then who gets to be doctor in chief in that regard? Who would be the greatest doctrine today, chief, other than Schneider? Do you think? I don't know.
I have to really think about that.
That's the rub. That's going to be difficult. I'm not 100% sure. Jimmy, you're talking about Alberto? Are you talking about Jimmy Martin being a cardinal? No, I don't see it. Please God, let it be true that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. I don't. He can't. No. No. Jimmy Martin's not going to be a cardinal. I'm going to go on the record right now. Hichborn, what do you think? You think Jimmy Martin will ever be a cardinal?
No.
Thank you.
I don't.
Thank you. Father Dan Rehill for Pope. You want Father Dan, Sean Marie? Father Dan Rehill for Pope. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, he's not a bad guy. I like him.
How about Father Ripperger?
For Pope? Or for Doctor in Chief?
Either.
Yeah, I could see it. That would upset a lot of people, though. Could you imagine?
Oh, yeah, it would.
That would just...
Mike Lewis, his head would just...
it would explode. It would pop like a grape. And no one would be there to film it. I mean, it would be such a tragedy to not enjoy that on a loop.
He might be live streaming, but nobody would be watching.
I know. It would be so sad. How many people would be truly upset if Father Ripperger came out of the next conclave? Too bad he'd be too old for it, but man, that would be something. Yeah. Now, you do not technically need to be a cardinal to be elected Pope. As far as I remember, it's not required. It's just generally how it's done. They usually always pick from the cardinals, but they don't have to. It's from my understanding. So, Ripperger as Pope, Schneider as Doctor-in-Chief, Strickland in charge of who gets to be bishop. Then you need a really super strong Secretary of State.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Secretary of State.
You need someone who knows politics, knows all the players, but is super, orthodox and on the team. Father Kirby for Doctor-in-Chief? I'm sorry, Steve Newton. I don't know if I'd go with Father Kirby as Doctor-in-Chief. Not a bad guy, but it's not like a Schneider. Schneider knows. And again, I am happy to remind everybody, Schneider was the only bishop on planet Earth to fly to Rome and sit down with Francis to have the conversation to correct him after his Abu Dhabi nonsense.
Yep.
So that goes a long way in my book. Our Leon, I recommend Bishop Daniel Fernandez to replace Supich. He was the bishop from PR that got Puerto Rico that got sacked because reasons.
Oh yeah.
Because he wasn't on the 2020 bandwagon, and he wasn't on the Traditionis Custodes Hammer team,
right?
The drum roll team. Pizzaballa at state. Now that's interesting, Caleb the mechanic. I kind of like this idea. James, we're going to need cutouts of everyone's big bobblehead and put it on a marker board behind you with all the positions, so we know what our fantasy picks, in case for draft day, for fantasy league draft day, that we know what all of our picks are.
I think we need to have Erdo in there somewhere too.
Was he the guy who had the heart attack, or purportedly had a heart attack?
So purportedly had a heart attack. I don't know if it's confirmed or not.
It was Diane Montagna reporting.
Yeah, which she usually knows her stuff. Catholic Sat is saying that they
I saw that.
Heard that it wasn't true. So I don't know.
Oof.
Yeah.
Pray for Erdo. Don't know. Wasn't there
prayers won't hurt.
Prayers never hurt. That's true. Wasn't there also a bishop in Switzerland that was either passed or passing or? I'm looking for.
You're thinking of Mozart, who was in a horrible car accident.
Oh wow. Huh. Yeah, Cardinal Peter Erdo in serious condition after suffering a heart attack, according to Dine Montagna. But again, Catholic Sat says that's not accurate, so we don't actually know. But pray for him anyway. It's a good option to pray for him anyway. Bishop Eleganti has warned Pope Leo about widespread homosexuality within the clergy linked to sex abuse. I would almost want to start a new dicastery at the Vatican to eliminate the Lavender Mafia from Holy Mother Church. So, getting a bishop in charge of that process to dispense of the Lavender Mafia everywhere it can be found on planet Earth, that might be a good deal. We'd have to have a strong man for that because his life would be in danger, I'm sure. Lavender Mafia, like the real mafia, kills people. So you do got to be careful about it. Bishop Marian Eleganti as prefect for CDW. Interesting. Very interesting. Someone said Father McTagg on the team. I could see Father McTagg playing a role.
Oh, yeah.
But here's what I would do. Here's what I would do, though. If I'm being honest, it's a fantasy. As the Holy Roman Emperor, I, of course, would force the Pope to do this. I would take my army and surround the Vatican if I had to in order to get this done. Let the Pope sweat it out in Castel San Angelo out there for a few days until he acquiesces to all of my demands. It's okay. Father McTagg gets to be the next Jesuit general, the Black Pope. Do we finally get the Reconquista of the Jesuits at that point? I think so.
Ooh.
So Father McTagg becomes the Black Pope. Put that on the board. Don't tell him I said that. He'd probably hate me talking about that, but that's what I do. Cardinal Zen. Cardinal Zen is too old, Christine.
He's almost 100 years old.
Yeah. There's no way. You got to get guys that are young and can deal with it. Hey, did you see the report? Anthony Stein reported on it today. There's a report that somebody has analyzed the Latin text of Benedict XVI's resignation, calling the cardinals criminals. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. Anthony Stein returned to tradition, did a show on it today. There's a report out that if you analyze the actual Latin text that Benedict read, he was very precise in characterizing certain cardinals as criminals.
Interesting.
Isn't it so?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have to find that and watch it.
This is like a telenovela. I mean, it just gets better every day. The more juicy everything gets. Father Maudsley for the next pope. We would have pre-55 TLMs if Father Maudsley was coming out as Pope Pius XIII. That'd be interesting.
Hey.
Nicholas says the late Bishop Tissier de Melleret seems to have been a good candidate for DDF. Father Ripperger for chief exorcist. What does Michael think? Blue cheese or honey mustard? He already weighed into that, Nicholas. You missed it because you got your hair cut. He's on team honey mustard all the way. We're getting matching T-shirts, Michael Hichborn and I. Honey mustard for the win. Short term with Cardinals, then there's no way. Are you kidding me? He would look like Benedict XVI, frail and weak, and they would all just take advantage of him. No. We need a strong 40-something-year-old Pius XIII who hammers it like Jude Law did. Okay, nobody did it better than Jude Law. That's what we need. What is the implication of that, Joe? Is it, if not pressure to leave? What is the implication of that, Joe, if not pressure to leave? You're talking about the text report that came out of Benedict XVI's letter allegedly calling the cardinals criminals. Yeah, that's exactly the implication, is that he was pressured to get out, to make way for Bergoglio. That's the implication. But here's the big question, because there's going to be some people who hear us talking about this and they're going to get all freaked out and bothered by it. Why in the world does this surprise you in the least? I mean, drama in the church? Humans. They're all humans with fallen human natures. Selfish, greedy, agendized. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone has an agenda. I have an agenda. You have an agenda. We all have agendas. Some of those are good. Some of those aren't good at all. But we all have them. We're all humans. I just don't understand why some Catholics get really bent out of shape because you might suggest that big drama exists at the Vatican. Makes no sense to me. It's like, why in the what would make you think that everything at the Vatican is happy-go-lucky utopia? It's not. It's huge politics. It's global politics coupled with religion. It is epic in proportion. I shouldn't surprise you in the least that cardinals gerrymander like Republicans and Democrats, right? You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't. It should just like we call that a Tuesday at the Vatican.
Right. The difference is that doing that here has spiritual and infinite ramifications as opposed to what one might do with a political gerrymander. I do have to run. I'm being called up for dinner.
You should walk. The dog might bite you if you run. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
God bless you, man. Have a great day. Carry a big stick. Only use it. I didn't use mine, so I just let the dog bite me.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. God bless you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you.
God bless.
We'll see you.
You bet.
Nicholas says, I want Bishop Schneider for CDW. He'd take us back to the 1570 divine office and may be sympathetic to restoring the pre-55. I want Matthew Polisi doing something so we can make fasting and abstinence great again. If Christ died for us, we can fast more than twice per year. Father Maudsley for CDW or CDF would be great too. I would say divine worship, Father Maudsley and divine worship would be good. We would get that pre-55 awesomeness back. It would be great. But then everybody would be complaining because Easter vigils are too long. Fasting is too hard. But therein lies the rub, isn't it? At the end of the day, we only really want our Savior to do the suffering. We don't want to do any of the suffering ourselves. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. It's too bad I don't get to be in charge. I wish I could be in charge of everything. I think if we're all honest, we all want to be in charge, but we're not. Just part of the deal. Catholic prophecy about the monarch picking the Pope. Well, show me the crown. I'd be happy to pick the Pope. But I think that same Catholic prophecy suggests that when that happens, the world is in a nuclear war at that point. So perhaps maybe we have killed Kim Jong-un and nuclear war kicked off, and here we are. Let's see here. Divine Intervention, Ontario. Praise be to God. Good to see you in the chats. Joey Carter, welcome back. Good to see you. John Paul Sandoval. I am anti-haggis. Any legislation maintaining the outlawing of this contraband, I'm on board. Where do you stand, Producer James, on the controversial issue of haggis?
Never had it.
But would you?
It doesn't sound like the most enticing thing in the world, to be honest with you.
It's totally fine. I've had it. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah, well, based on your other food opinions, that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence.
It's essentially a garbage plate put inside the intestines of a sheep. That's really all it is.
See, but why?
Packaging.
There wasn't a better method of delivery. I don't know. I don't
know. Have you seen the garbage plate? Do you think that is good delivery?
Yeah, there's no shame. They're just like, we're gonna flop it on the plate in front of you, and there it is. Doesn't come in any special packaging. It came in a styrofoam container.
It just comes. Fast and Furious right in front of you. And you're like, what is it exactly?
And you enjoyed
what's
it.
in it? I did. I did for 2 days. It was great. It was really good. Cardinal Togli. Who wants Cardinal Togli in our fantasy lineup at the Vatican? Perhaps maybe he could be the DJ to the papal household. Maybe he could spin them records for us. Do a little bit of papal dancing for us. I mean, he seems to be good at that. How many people are like all excited and thrilled that it's going to be Cardinal Togli who's going to say the Mass for the beatification of Fulton Sheen? And how many people are asking why? Why Togli? Is it because of the foreign missions? Like if Burke wasn't available? I mean, like there's several American cardinals, but they got Togli for it. DiNardo. They could have gone with Cardinal DiNardo. He's retired. He's an American. Why didn't they go with him? Makes you wonder. Things that make you go, Christine says, but Joe, this time people will appreciate the pre-55 because Pope Maudsley, he's not going to be called Pope Maudsley. Clearly it'll be Pius XIII, but okay. We'll make sure that all Catholics are catechized. You would have more evangelizing work cut out for you. We'd be getting the band back together. Christine says no to Togli. Cardinal Togli can be apostolic nuncio to Iran. Why do we give why can't he just retire instead of giving him a job, promoting him? Like I'd rather send a good man to Iran to make more converts there instead of, punishing the Iranians with a guy who's not going to convert them. You know what I mean? Like feels like maybe the other way ought to be the way it goes down. I don't know. Nearly 2 billion Catholics worldwide. It'll be a heavy burden on the monarch's shoulders. It surely will. It surely will. Potatoes and turnips go with what exactly, Alberto? How do we get where all of a sudden we're talking about food again? Inglés contra mundo, welcome and good afternoon. Praise be to God. Glad to see you here. It is so sad, says Cigar Mode. Togli is doing the Sheen beatification. Exactly. What are we doing? Pope Athanasius the Great. Ooh, could you imagine if he took Athanasius as his papal name? That would be cool. Man, that would be cool. Honestly, I'd vote for that. I would. I see Carl Olson asking, anybody else asking or wondering what's up with Marco Rupnik? It's been several months, to my knowledge, since anyone in Rome has publicly even mentioned his case. And it's been nearly 8 years since he was first investigated by the Jesuits. J.D. Flynn weighs in. Canonical trials take a long time, often more than 2 years. Okay, well, I guess there's nothing to see here then. Move along. I don't know. That's where we're at, folks. We have to make tough decisions, especially when the Lavender Mafia is on a rampage around the world today. Look at all this shoving it down our throats with these couples and their babies that they somehow come across and are trying to raise in this same lifestyle. Despite the fact that these guys end up getting arrested for, the bad things they do to little children, to put it mildly. Like if that's not a sin that cries out to God for vengeance, I'm not sure what is, to be honest. And so where is the force on that issue at the Vatican, at the the Loggia or wherever else the Pope may find himself? When we're like sending polite, fun messages to communists, why not instead we spend the time condemning evil with the heel of our boot and with the force of it, the force of the office? Wouldn't that be something? That'd be better. Seriously good Pope would be Bishop Athanasius Schneider. I agree, but then who gets to be in charge of doctrine? That's the thing. I kind of want him to be in charge of doctrine because that is so vitally important. Did anyone mention Cardinal Burke? Thoughts on him? Yeah, Cardinal Burke, he's sitting around, he's got a lot of time on his hands. He's available, but the problem with Cardinal Burke is he's old. So he's not going to have the strength to keep a pace with the work that needs to be done. So we're looking for younger men who can put up the fight and go the distance. Michael says, why not usher the eschaton with Pope Peter II? Okay, listen. The evangelicals want to be able to usher the eschaton. The Jewish Zionists want to usher the eschaton. The radical Muslims want to usher the eschaton. Listen, God doesn't need me to force his hand, okay? He will bring about the eschaton when he's darn good and ready. He doesn't need me forcing the issue. I don't think we should do that. That's just my humble opinion. But Peter II, that's a potential name. Is the case of the Franciscans of the Immaculate and other trad religious congregations pretty much long gone? Or are they worth revisiting? I think the damage has been done to them. The Dictator Pope, the book, The Dictator Pope, clearly described what happened to the Franciscan Friars of the Immaculate. But I think all the devastation has already been had. I think the best thing we might be able to do is if we can bring about a sense of normalcy and traditional Catholic piety back to the Vatican, perhaps we can and should encourage traditional orders to flourish again and support them as much as we possibly can. The Vatican could use its connections, its wealth, its power, its prestige to provide for traditional nuns and traditional men, men's and women's orders. Just like how Pope Francis interceded for these communists in Rome when the Italian government tried to kick them out of their little building, Francis came to their rescue and said, no, leave them be, leave them be. Why can't we do that for religious men and women who embrace the faith in its fullness instead of, the ones who embrace the world, the flesh, and the devil in its fullness? Tooth Twister 77. Well said, Joe. If we can affect his moves from a finite point in the infinite future. Christine, Pope Athanasius Schneider will know who to appoint for the doctrine of the faith. All right, that's a good point. Well said. I'll concede the point to you. A Catholic Jedi Knights on the team for Ripperger as Pope Boniface. Father Pacwa for Chamberlain. That's interesting, John Paul Sandoval. I've known Father Pacwa. He and I have hung out together on several occasions. I've known him for years. I don't talk to him ever anymore, but very interesting. Very interesting. I think I've told you guys this story, but he and I was right after the Pachamama thing in the Vatican Gardens. He and I were at an event in West Texas. The night before the event, we were at someone's private home for dinner. So it was a small group, just the family and us. And we were having a conversation around the table, and I threw Malachi Martin's Jesuits at him, and he did not like that at all. Oh, you should have seen the contortions in the facial structure. It was very interesting when it happened. However, I also brought up the Pachamama thing that happened that very week, and he had not even heard of it. And I explained what happened to him, and he was dumbfounded by it. And he immediately started talking about how he had spent time in Latin America and experienced firsthand the native population embracing of Pachamama, which he clearly knew was a demonic god, this demon pretending to be a god. And it was all horrible. And he said so that very week on his live television show on EWTN. He had that very conversation after I met with him. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to take credit. I'm saying it because I was proud of him for using his platform, talking to his audience who's not going to get online and watch, podcast episodes of, Taylor Marshall, Anthony Stein, Joe McClane, or none of these. That audience isn't going to watch this stuff. So he exposed a huge audience to a topic they would normally have never been exposed to. And he called a spade a spade. I was very proud of Father Pacwa for that. I really was. And can I rant a little bit here? Just for a minute before we say goodbye. And that is, we are a radio show in the EWTN world. The Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network. We own our own radio stations, but we are affiliates with EWTN. So we partner with them. We take a little bit of their programming and whatnot. And sometimes, my trad friends will beat me up because we're in the normie section of Catholic media. And here's my response to that. No one else at EWTN Radio is talking about the stories that I'm talking. They're not interviewing Michael Hichborn. None of them. They don't talk to Janet Smith anymore, and they don't talk about the homo predator lavender mafia at Study Group 9, the Synod on Synodality. They don't call a spade ever. But guess who does? We do. Father McTagg does. Mother Miriam is burning up. She's on fire right now. Her channel is blowing up. I'm jealous. I was half tempted to put a nun's habit on today just in hopes that I could get half the views and subs that she's getting on YouTube. Maybe we get James to dress up as a nun. Maybe that'll be
Why is it always me that has to take the fall for these things?
Maybe that'll be the angle we go for. James. What should we call Sister James?
I don't think Mother would appreciate this very much.
She would not. She would be mad at me. There's no question. But her YouTube channel blowing up. My point is,
mad at you. I was her producer.
Okay, but you're an innocent victim and all. You're a bystander. I'm the guy forcing you to get dressed in the
So
nun's
you're
habit.
giving me full permission and authority to throw you under the bus is what I'm hearing.
Yes, put the knife in my back next to the dog bite and have at it.
All right, maybe I could be convinced, I suppose.
Anyway, the point that I was making is, you know why we're still on Catholic radio? Because one, there's a huge audience that listens to radio every day. Number two, because we're having conversations that they are simply never going to hear any other place. Those are important conversations to have. We're doing things in a way that no other media apostolate can quite accomplish. Now, there are others. I'm not saying we're better than everybody. I'm not doing that. What I am saying, though, is we have a pretty powerful opportunity at the Station across Catholic Media because we have leadership that supports us and defends us and gives us the ability to continue to do it. We have donors that step up and give money. And provide for the financial need to make sure I get to hire a producer, James, own a bunch of Catholic radio towers that require huge electric bills and the lawns that need to be mowed around those transmitter sites and studios filled with $100,000+ worth of equipment. I mean, it goes on and on. Why do we do it? Because we can have a candid conversation with an audience that's never going to hear it. Because they don't go listen to crazy podcasts, rad trad podcast, conspiracy podcast, or scandal-ridden podcast, however you wish to characterize what I do or others do. My point is, it's an amazing opportunity that, as a guy who spent 20 years in Catholic radio now, almost 2000, I would say my first real dip in Catholic radio specifically was probably 2008. So 18 years of Catholic radio at this point. Prior to that was just podcasting Catholic radio. But anyway, we're doing some amazing things. We're reaching amazing people, and it's not just the choir. That was the point that I want. All that for that. I know, I let you down. My point is, it's important what we do. So when Father Pacwa called a spade on his EWTN live television show, I was proud of him because that's not something he normally would do. And I thought it was incredibly important. Raymond DeRorio, great man. I've known him, hung out with him, talked to him a couple times. He does not take my phone calls. He has been calling a spade for years over there. But that's the exception and not the rule at that organization. I can tell you from firsthand experience. Most of them don't get away with it. Most of them are never allowed to touch that third rail. Most of them don't even bother to dare and don't want to either. So I couldn't be more happy to get the opportunity to work for Jim and Joanne Wright, for producer James, and our team at the Station of the Cross, because I get a freedom and a flexibility to have the kinds of conversations that would just not be possible anywhere else in professional Catholic media. So yeah, we get to podcast, do YouTube, we get to do all those things, but we also get to do it in an audience and a segment that would never know if we didn't do it. And you guys make that possible, so thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your subscriptions, your sharing, your commenting, being on the team, being an insider. All that means the world to us. So thank you for doing it. God bless you all. Have a great day. We'll see you right back here for another round of A Catholic Take. And share us with a friend.